Hello, 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 hello. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my channel. Okay, so y'all, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's the first reading of the year, the first reading of the year, right? I'm hoping everybody's doing okay. I'm genuinely hoping everybody is doing okay, right? I feel the need to clear my head a little bit before, just, get the thoughts out. It was a lot of varying situations from like years ago, right, that were coming up, right? Um, and realistically, this is going to happen, right? We are in the Virgo Pisces axis, and if you know anything about Virgo and Pisces essence, right, it'll be one of those, oh, I should have said this, or I should have done this, or I would have done. It's the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? With the Virgo essence and Pisces essence, right? That we're going to be dealing with for the next 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. 2 years, please, please, please. I always say this. Um, whenever we have a shift, I've said it every single time. Please, 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 don't make the same mistakes you made with one shift during this shift. Okay? You have the opportunity to learn, you have the opportunity to grow, you have the opportunity to heal, right? And be avid about your healing. Healing ain't no joke. So very serious. I've been saying this the entire time it is that I've been doing readings. Whether it was when I first started my channel 6 years ago. I don't care if I deleted those and I'm not on Facebook or none of those spaces. I said it, right? I said it. Don't let the same mistakes, right, come into place again. 222. As I said that. So just being mindful of that. The other portion of it is I've been seeing I've been seeing quite a few different things that's been going on. Um, One of the things is that makes things a lot easier for me, right? I can't say it for everybody. I address situations right when they happen. I address them right when they happen. I discuss it right when it happens. If you watch some of my previous videos, if you're watching from me uploading on Instagram, if you watch it from there, or if you even watch some of my clearing my heads, whichever it is that you watch, right? Um, I talk about situations that would have come into place literally within 24 to 72 hours of them happening. Okay. And I feel it's imperative because that's the verbal agreements and the third party shish that keeps coming up, y'all, with these varying aspects, okay? Um, and what it did, right, is for me, it anchored me saying, you know what, I do like this or I don't like this, right? And what it taught me over these years is not everybody is good at positive reinforcement. Everyone can be receptive to it, but due to their energetic makeup, they may not be good with it, right? Some people you just have to be hard with all the time. Those are not my people. Excuse me. Those are not my people. Because people who know me know I don't like doing a whole bunch of. I'm not as long as I'm not performing. I'm not doing a whole bunch of yelling and screaming. I save that for the stage. You hear me? I save that for the stage. That's where it is best received and best acknowledged. 444, as I said that. So, yeah. basically, I realistically was just paying attention to a whole bunch of different things that's going on out in the atmosphere. It's gonna be 13 moons, y'all, and I want to say like 3 or 4 of them are super moons. I had to study a little bit, you guys. And I want to say like 3 or 4 of them are gonna be super moons. We had a meteor, right? We had a meteor that was seen across the sky in my location in St. Louis. Um, and it was actually it was pretty nice. I got the opportunity to see it a little bit, y'all. I did. I was in the right place in the right time in the right space, so I saw a little bit of the flash across the sky when it happened. That made me really happy. Some of the other things, right? The situations it was that took place, that happened. Happened. Right? It's not happening. Happening. That's one of the things that's dependent upon 555. That's dependent upon when doing spell work and things of that nature, right? You can't turn back the hands of time. And when you're dealing with any awakened individual, it will just simply remind them of conversations that they would have already had. If the person wasn't receptive to the perspective, that's not your problem as an individual. I've learned that. It makes life so much easier when you just be like, you know what, that's not for me to deal with. I said what I needed to say, I did what I needed to do, and you keep pushing, right? If you're a teacher, right? Hey, shout out to my teachers. Shout out to the nurses and the doctors and all of those of us who are in the professional area. Shout out to the grid workers and the intuitives. Hey, y'all. Um, we all know that, right? And as an adult, it's common sense, right? To know that. Speaking of common sense, I did see a law that Trump had that's not common sense at all. He's one of those backwards people. So it's one of those guys. You have no idea how much there is a lack of compassion in your existence. And it's not because people haven't been compassionate with you. That's just the way he is. Um, I don't know. uh, so there's that. The other portion of it, right? I did pay a lot of attention to um, the whole ideology of blocking and unblocking people and things of that nature. Part of the reason why so many people are having issues with that is because they haven't anchored a lot. People, for whatever reason, enjoy the delusional aspect of daydreaming and dreaming more than the illusory aspect of making those dreams come true. I learned that, was it 12 years ago? No, I didn't learn that 12 years ago. I learned that about a good 7 years ago. 6, 7 years ago. Not even 6 years ago. About 7, 8 years ago. Definitely in 2014 when I purchased my house. That's when I learned it. Primarily because I took a dream, a vision, a daydream, a delusion, quote unquote. It was delusional because of where I was at that time, right? I was staying with a now ex, right? Because there was a lot of different situations that were going on. And it's not that I wanted to live with them. It just so happened that, they were available and I was in a bad spot. And me and my kids went to go live with them. And I was 25 when this happened, y'all, right? And what ended up happening is I had I was 25 and I had a quarter life crisis, right? And within me having this quarter life crisis, what ends up taking place is I determined by the time I had reached the age of 30, I would own my own home. I wouldn't have to pay no mortgage or any of those things, right? Well, I made that in that moment, that was me being delusional. I had nothing. You feel me? But I made it a reality by the steps it was that I took and being smarter about the money it was I was spending. And when I say money, or the currency is a better word, that I exchanged in those regards, uh, primarily because I stopped kicking it with a whole bunch of people then. In short, what this is giving is within doing spell work, know a person's cycles before you do spell work on them, before you even consider it, right? Know a person's cycles. But I had stopped talking to and dealing with a lot of people even then, so that I can attain my goal. 1040, as I said that. um, but yeah, so I isolated myself even then, right? In short, one of the other things is, don't let your trauma and your traumas control your decision making process. Within doing what you need to do as an individual, you have to release the trauma and let it be just trauma. 1111, as I said that. Traumas aren't going to go anywhere, but you can, right? So it's that part. The other portion of it, within being in a Virgo Pisces axis, right? You have to pay attention to what these two stand for. If you want to be successful over the course of these next 2 years, you have to take not what the sign is, but you have to take what the sign represents. I'm going to reiterate this. This very same issue came into place during the Cancer Capricorn axis, and there was this major push for twin flames and soulmates. 11:55 when I said that. Soulmates and everyone, right? All of a sudden, it was yeah, because the way that it was being presented on the energetic level, right, was the only people who were twin flames were either, or who had quote unquote twin flames were either Cancers or Capricorns. That's how the information was being presented. That was a false presentation and a false representation. 1222 when I said that of what spirituality is. I catch a lot of slack, y'all. So much slack. Because I am spiritual and I'm not religious, right? Within being spiritual, you learn to respect every religion, every ritual, every thought process, because you get a better understanding of what constitutes as a background of individuals. Okay, so but yeah, a lot of the different things that come into place in regards to it is ultimately, um, a lot of the same mistakes get made over and over and over again. Um, and part of the problem that comes into place with making the same mistake over again is it's not a mistake after you make it that second or that third time. I'll give you the third time. After the third time, it's not a mistake anymore. After the third time, it's intentional. So just being mindful of that. And if you know someone else is doing it to somebody else, you know what I'm saying? So there's that. The other portion, right, of it being, I heard something about clapback. I don't have any necessarily clapbacks. I'm just talking. That's the other thing. A person presenting what their ideology is, what their paradigm is not a clapback. It does not warrant 1414 an individual attacking them. I don't have to agree with you. A lot of people, from what I'm seeing, and I know this is going to come into place, unfortunately, with my generation, those who are 40 and up, who's supposed to already fucking know this. And I said that in that way for a reason, because I want you to hurry. You're over fucking 40 years old. You should be better versed. 1441, as I said that. You should be better versed and more understanding of life after the age of 40. You have no excuses, none whatsoever, to behave as a teenager. If you're in that Virgo essence, you should be acting more along the lines of 30 or 35 than 15. You have no excuses. Okay? That's that part. Um in the Piscean aspect, right? With the wisdom and knowledge that comes into place with it, being wise and having wisdom are two different things. Wisdom is when you apply the knowledge. Being wise is just having the knowledge. Too many people, and I want to say they call us zennials now, but too many people in my generation, y'all, I'm very disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed because we were taught to speak when spoken to, first and foremost, and listen to comprehend. We weren't taught to listen to respond. In the teenagers, some people may have lost that lesson. It's coming up now if you would have lost that lesson. All right. So, and part of that is going to be because Saturn, right? Saturn, when Saturn went direct, and shout out to the Saturnalians, um, but when Saturn went direct, Saturn was showing us then. Saturn was showing everyone who they are and what they have going on. A lot of what's going on is a lot of Dark Night of the Soul shit for others, right? If you know you wasn't doing nothing, your Dark Night of the Soul ain't gonna be so bad. But if you know you was on some fuck Kwai, 1717, you it's the only thing that I could tell you is meditate, and I don't even want to tell you to get prayed up because what I'm getting from it is the young adult thought process of I want to pray for a bike. You get a bike and then you don't even take care of the bike. That's what a lot of the essence is giving me right now. You get what you want, you get what you pray for, and then you misuse it, and then you wonder why you don't have it anymore. That's not cool, y'all. Don't do that. Don't do that. One of the other things is um knowing who you are and understanding why you made the decisions it is that you would have made as a young adult, right? A lot of times we like to talk about peer pressure, right? While a person can be peer pressure, right? As you've gotten older, you are no longer allowed to say, I was peer pressured into ABCXYZ from when you were a kid, and the root of it is, when I was younger, I was peer pressured. Bull spit. You're an adult now, right? And what that means is when you become adult, you understand it wasn't that I was peer pressured, I was curious about whatever it was that was going on. You got to find the accountability. You were curious about what it is that was going on. Someone suggested it to you more than once. You're one of those types of individuals who need a person to convince you of something, and that's why you did it. That's two completely different perspectives and outlooks. Okay, on those on that paradigm, and on the psychology of the prepubescent mind. Okay, one of the things it was that I was paying a lot of attention to is the emotional manipulations, the psychological manipulations that come into place with being a spiritual leader. Um, and I sat with it for a while because what it made me realize is you get people who are put in these positions who don't even know how to apply basic psychology and basic acceptance. And they're up here and they're speaking on behalf of God and they are not saying anything of substance. They just spitting the same rhetoric back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know about y'all, but they be kind of bothering me. So there's that portion. Um, Outside of that though, I also noticed that Jupiter and Neptune dealt a lot with that portion of the spiritual realm. Jupiter and Neptune dealt a lot with that, or they deal a lot with that, but a lot of people aren't really. I'm seeing the word facsimile, okay, but a lot of people aren't really allowing for that knowing, that inner knowing, right, of what's right and wrong, what's fundamentally right and what's fundamentally wrong. You get they're not allowing for that to come into place with their decision making process. And if you are any type of leader, that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. As a leader, you have a responsibility to think about all parties involved, not what's just best for you. I encountered too many people who were worried about what was best for them, and thankfully, they've all been taken care of for over a year now. A year, two, yeah. I took care of what needed to be taken care of in 2023. I want to say it was like in June or July of 2023. I took care of a lot of that stuff. And now, right? Hopefully everybody is, will get the gist of it since it's some need to quote unquote address. That's the other thing. Why y'all always feel like somebody got to address you or address something? It is not that serious, y'all. It's too much stuff going on. 2222, as I said that, it's too much stuff going on. And anybody who knows me knows I am a spiritual activist. I do not be playing these daggone games with them. I don't even see why they wanted to do all that craziness with me, y'all, for real. I did not. I don't see why they wanted to do all that. It was unnecessary and they were crazy. That's 6'7". 2244 when I said that. That's 6'7". But yeah, so just be mindful of these variant aspects that are coming into place around us, ladies and gentlemen. In short, the main thing that karma will teach you is, I just heard say what you have to. Your ass is too old to be doing a lot of the shit you doing, or too old to be doing a lot of shit you did. Cause when this shit comes back on your ass, you ain't gonna be able to handle it. You too old. You was too old for it then. If your knees was hurting to any capacity when you initiated something, it's gonna be worse on you now. That's what I'll say to that. That's why I make good decisions, y'all. Don't judge me. My knees is bad. Somewhere along the line, I hurt my back, and ain't nobody got time to be playing all them games with these people. But I am doing okay, y'all. Just in case anybody was curious, I am doing okay. No, I don't. I don't have beef with y'all. I told people that a long time ago. They wanted to take their own narratives and run with it. I don't ever have beef with a person. I do have my own perspective that was developed and it's well rounded over these years, and I've always stood firm in whatever position it is that I've taken. So this shouldn't be me not interacting with a lot of different people. It shouldn't be causing this much of a stir in the spiritual world, like to no capacity. I don't care if it's uh, people that I once did business with, I once encountered, had a past karmic contract with. That includes family, friends, acquaintances, and associates, right? I literally applied what was taught to me by my ancestors, my now ancestors, right? Everybody ain't supposed to be in your life for a lifetime. Some people are leaves, some are branches, some are roots. The beautiful thing that I learned about myself, right? And you should learn this about yourself too with that Seven of Pentacles essence, being what constitutes as a walking tree. Okay, everybody likes talking about trees and all this other stuff, and now I'm seeing. I don't have the cards out right now, y'all. Know. But now I'm seeing the tree of life, right, with the Masonic portion to it, and it's important whether you know where what that dot is in the middle, what it's supposed to be. I'm gonna leave it at that, and the one at the bottom. But um, I learned a long time ago that with walking trees, right, they're really interesting because their roots, they follow the sun. Wherever the most sunlight is in their area, they will gravitate towards the sun, right? They don't have to quote unquote uproot themselves because their roots are already exposed. Part one. Part two. They shed their roots. That's what allows for them to be able to have continued strength, be able to walk, and be able to be such this fascinating epitome of God's creation. I promise you, just go look up a walking tree. All right, all right. I might name this the walking tree. Okay, all right. Let me see if there's anything else. Hi, Money Bear. I'm thinking about you too. I just wanted you to know that. Anything else? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I don't have a lot of stuff. I don't talk about a whole bunch of stuff because the reality is, what I care about is different than what others care about, right? Um, and relationships are important. Within relationships being important, you have to understand what the basis of the relation is. Okay. Some of the other things that's gonna come up during this axis, and you should have already put it in place. If you would have already put it in place, you shouldn't have any problems over period, because you would have already understood what it is to set boundaries, because that's what Pisces essence does. It talks about boundaries. Oh, that's the other thing about walking trees, y'all. Right? So walking trees, you know they have a crowning situation that goes on with them. Crowning is when the top of the trees don't touch and they all be moving and none of the crowns touch. It's so freaking awesome. Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry. But you get what I'm saying in relation to varying aspects, right? Understanding what you represent in the relationship, your title, uh, for women, right? I remember at one point I was really avid, right, about the reality being that I I I was delusional when I came up with this, y'all. That every woman has potential to quote unquote be a divine feminine. I recognize this because along this journey, I recognize that the what constituted as karmic feminines, right? They had a lot of the same thoughts as divine feminines in regards to the divine feminines, not necessarily dark night of the soul, but when we first started meditating, y'all, and we got to break through that threshold and you go through that dark portion of meditation where you know what I'm talking about, that dark part of meditation right before you get to the acceptance portion, because you're really going through a grieving period, right? But you go through that dark part where you think about messing some people up and red rumming people, right? Everybody goes through that. The difference between the divine feminine aspect of it, though, and the karmic feminine is the karmic feminine would act on it. The divine feminine may think about it, right, as a way to do away with those thoughts, right, and to aid in them healing and makes them even feel. I don't know about y'all, but me thinking about it helped me to get over a lot of stuff. It really, really did. Did I actually do it? Of course not. But did it help me get over a lot of stuff? Absolutely. It was 30-40 when I said that. So that's that's another aspect of the Virgo Pisces axis. I just hope y'all catch that. In any event, when I recognized that, it was one of those, okay, I thought to myself, if I could assist the karmic essences, it would lessen their burden of feeling alone or feeling like they got to go in competition and all this other stuff. I was totally wrong. I can accept that. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. But what it did do is it allowed for me to realize what my compassion, 3131, capacity is. I utilize that term compassion, capacity, because I used to say it a whole lot in 2023 and in 2022. I stated multiple times, I'm reaching my compassion capacity. I've reached my compassion capacity, right? So, in short, if you didn't pay attention then, that's going to be highlighted in your dark night of the soul. Okay? Okay. Now, what is compassion capacity? People as individuals, each one, you can reach them at different levels, right? You reach them at different levels. One of the things I noticed is you'll get a lot of people who allow for their trauma to dictate their compassion capacity. Your trauma is not in control of you. You are in control of it. Once you start taking accountability in those regards, it'll make it so much easier for you as an individual to be like, okay, this is what I did in this situation. Let me go on and do this. It's not to say that everything that's been done is somebody else's fault or everything that's been done is your fault. But 3311 when I said that. But it does state and it does make it easier if you can take accountability of, say for instance, the runaway horse, okay, or the runaway carriage. If you've ever paid attention to like what they call it, what's that trail thing, or with cowboys, right? The Oregon Trail. It was a game from a long time ago. Um, in the Oregon Trail, they were going along the, I want to say it was the Gold Rush route, and what could happen is 3355 when I said that. What could happen is an individual, if they drop the reins, the horses could, just go wild, right? Do whatever they wanted to. However, if you pulling in them reins, right? Saying this is the part that I played in this situation, that's you grabbing the reins. All right? Okay. I hope it helped. I hope it helped a little bit. I'm trying to think if it's anything else. Um, with being a parent and with being a teacher, right? I think I'm gonna do a reading after this. But with being, I just heard, nah, baby, do it all together. Okay. But with um dealing in and with all these varying aspects, I personally have learned that it's easier for you to say, this happened or that happened and they did this to me. It's one of those, okay, they did it to you, but in response, what did you do? Because sometimes the best lick back, quote unquote, you can get is walking away. They just being like, you know what? I'm good. I'll holler at you. I see you don't want me here. See you don't want me around. No problem at all. You don't like what I'm doing. My feelings get a little hurt, but that's all right. I'm okay. I'll live, right? When you're dealing with narcissists, they have a tendency to not like that. They'll be fine. They will be fine. Just hold your boundaries, okay? Um, that's that portion. Outside of that though, I'm trying to think. I had gotten a few different downloads in regards to a few different things, but it's just been one of those. Okay, if it's meant to come out, it'll come out. I've been hearing a lot of different love songs. I'm thinking about doing a love reading, right? In this first week, more than likely, maybe not today, but through this first week, or probably. I'm gonna set the goal of being able to do that love reading. I want to say like the latest it'll be is Saturday because I got to get the life path readings out, y'all. And thank you for watching the life path readings. I appreciate that, y'all. That has been so helpful. Y'all made my day when I seen that number. I was like, you know what? People are listening. It's okay. Just keep going, girl. Keep going. Sometimes it is you will be able to tell who is for you, and not even necessarily only about vibrational matches. That's very important, but you'll be able to tell who is for you when you have that attitude of gratitude and you like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. As long as you're telling that to yourself, because that's what you're putting out. That's gonna be what you get back, right? All right. So it's that part. The other portion of it, right? One of the things is a lot of people getting a lot of karma for different things it is they would have done. Understandable. Community. First card out. Being mindful of your community, especially if you're one of those type of people like me who belongs to multiple communities. I know I'm a part of the alphabet community, LGBTQIA plus, right? Shout out to us, right? The angelic community, and I one of the things I would like to say, angels would constitute in some people's eyes as asexual. That means that they LGBTQIA plus. If they are here on Earth, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. These are common sense things, ladies and gentlemen. Everything doesn't have to be super mystical and super mythical. And there are such things as mythical creatures. The mere fact that it's even talked about the Nephilim and the unicorns, those things are talked about in the Bible, shows that that is something you would need to study and look into, because what it's doing is it's allowing you an avenue by which you can reach others who may not have the same background as you. Right back around to where I started. Let's kick into this reading. All right, so we got the community expectations that are coming in. If you are a alchemist, right? But with the community not having an expectation of poverty or poverty. Okay, what that is giving me is that the community wasn't expecting for a person to be, as I like to say, between blessings. That's what that was giving. That wasn't the expectation. Anything else going along with this? All right. And then the community not being in the thoughts. Great fortune. Ensure one not thinking about the great fortune. Income and expectation and thoughts with great fortune. Some of this other portion that comes into place with this great fortune, I've seen some of it would be talking about different trophies. That's the other thing. Don't lie and say you don't want to be recognized. I don't know about y'all, but I've always stated that I wanted to be recognized for what it is that I've done. You'll get more people, 40/20, as I said that. You'll get more people who don't want to recognize you because it shatters their ideology of who you're supposed to be, or not even who you're supposed to be, but what you're supposed to look like. That's that overly judgmental aspect that's going to be coming into place with Virgo essence. Making a lot of judgments, and there's a difference between making a decision on how you feel about something and being judgmental. Complete difference between the two of them. Okay? When you're judgmental, you rush to a decision and thought process based out of what you know. It's based out of your knowledge base. It's not based 4114, as I said that. It's not based out of anything that's actually applicable on a humanitarian scale. I feel preempted to say, how many of y'all are happy that I'm back to talking about these varying topics? I get the feeling and the notion that it's a couple people who happy that I'm talking about things other than popular culture. Okay, so let's get to this next portion. But yeah, uh, community, the expectation and the thoughts, and the overall essence of great fortune. Some of this stuff that is given is the community not expecting one to think. The community didn't think. This is giving collective consciousness. And the difference between collective consciousness, God consciousness, and Jesus or Christ consciousness. It's not Jesus consciousness, it's called Christ consciousness. The difference that comes into place with it. And just because a person belongs or has what constitutes as a collective consciousness, that collective consciousness can be linked to certain thought processes, is what that's really given. So the wisdom, oh, this is going to be real good and interesting. Yeah, because I didn't went to the wisdom squad first. I'm already operating out of that Pisces essence, y'all. Excuse me. Already. I just heard, what's wrong? Are you okay? Yeah, I swept. I was sweeping, y'all, right? And within me sweeping, it was a whole bunch of dust that kicked up, right? And it was, if you've ever swept a dusty space, you know that one of the things that can happen is the dust will get caught in your airways. So you gonna have about a good 8 to 10 hours where you gonna be coughing stuff up, and realistically is dust, right? That you'll be coughing up, okay? So, in regards to this, okay, what constitutes as a risk? So, the overall essence of what constitutes as a risk within one not manifesting, some of this stuff is going to be about how one wouldn't have manifested trust. And then there wouldn't have been a high priestess, and there wouldn't be a winged seer, or not winged singer, a winged wise one, but metal king. I'm saying metal, METAL, but what I'm seeing is the word meddle. 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 I'm not sure about that spelling. But also Medal. I don't know which one that's gonna fit into for y'all. But you know. If you know, you know. Okay. So there's that portion. What will be coming in on the alchemical aspect, it'll be about the high priestess and being a winged wise one, or earth angels. Earth angels, um, and what it is to be an earth angel. And how it's not the responsibility of man to determine who is and isn't an earth angel. That responsibility. That why you trying to do God's job? I'm gonna need y'all to let God just do him, and let Goddess just do her. Let them do what they do. Stop worrying about what. Stop. Y'all do too much. Stop worrying about what spirit is. Yeah. Stop worrying about that stuff. One not surrendering to the flow. It's given. If it don't fit, don't force it. Just relax and let it go. And just 'cause that's how you want it doesn't mean it will be so. If it don't fit, don't force it. Yeah, and what it is to be earthbound angels, all this other stuff. So from what I'm getting from this is uh it's giving a whole vow of poverty. Let me add, in a world that has been created, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out here. In a world that's been created around the major resource being money, finances, why did you choose the avenue of provision being basic needs and nothing more? I say that because different missions require certain provisions, and basic needs in this day and age is finances. So I'm gonna need y'all to reshape that in the stability and practicality. That was something that I talked about and talked on during the Taurus Scorpio axis quite a bit. And the respect that would be given to certain zodiac signs because of their supposed viciousness. One of the things, and it's coming back to me, one of the things that was going on, right? I got the nature cards out, y'all. Is Ferdinand, right? 4747 when I said that. Ferdinand. I love Ferdinand, right? I love Ferdinand. However, please understand, I know somebody else gonna be able to relate to this. I have African ancestry. So the Black Death, it's like if Ferdinand was a part of the what they constitute as the Black Death in Africa. Do with that what you will. Make the sacrifice, and one not surrendering to the flow, with making the sacrifice of seeing the truth and observing in silence, and we are all connected. One of, basically in the nature of things that I'm seeing that will be going on, you got to make sure that you paying attention that the sacrifice is actually the truth. You seeing the truth, that's the sacrifice. It's not a person. Yeah, it is not a person. The sacrifice is seeing the truth. You have the sacrifice is you shedding that old paradigm and you allowing things to shift and change and mold better for you. In the season of keeping what you kill, be the one to kill your ego. Okay? So let's see. Let's get some tarot on this and then I can go ahead. Okay. Alright. So Seven of Swords. Eight of Pentacles. Reverse. Stealing one not working. That's one. Stealing not working. Death not working. a strategy at the highest vibration. It'll be about a strategy not working, and what the strategy was 8 years ago in regards to being a high priestess and what constituted or classified an individual as a high priestess. Coventry. You want to know what's funny about that word Coventry? It sounds a whole lot like coveting. I think somebody may have been dyslexic within that lesson because that may have been what it was that they heard was the covenant, right? With being a high priestess and keeping one to themselves. The strategy theft not working. The strategy theft 8 years ago. 8 seeds being planted in regards to being guided at the highest vibration. In regards to one being guided in thought. Train of thought, chain of thoughts. Chain, chain, chain. Chain of fools. Chain, 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 chain. I was playing those songs a while ago, 50-50 when I said that. In short, pay attention to the messages that come into place too with them for you from our elders. Our elders may not have done everything right, but they told us what to do so that not only do we see where they would have needed correction through us, meaning we correct what they would have done, but also in regards to the corrections that would be necessary for later on down the line. All right. All right. Eight of Swords. So inside somebody in their head, yeah, that's what's going on. One being in their head about stealing, one not working. And then there being the spiritual connections that would have come into place with the world that would have been created out of ego. The ego of relieving a burden, and then there will be happiness. So one of the things, right? One of the things it is that comes into place. What I'm getting from this is how the wisdoms and one's nature wouldn't have come into place with what constitutes as work. I'm hearing kinesiology. If you've ever studied kinesiology, your body is always quote unquote working. In the Laughter of Mathematics, because I did hear that, and I will definitely be doing one of those readings. I might do that reading before I do the love reading because that'll put me in a good position to do a love reading, y'all. But in the Laughter of Mathematics aspect, this is going to be talking about some different seeds it is that would have been planted inside of one's mind. For some people, it may be some things that need to be surgically removed from them. And there will be some shots it is that will need to be taken. Some of it is going to relieve the burden with that weight. Some of it is given like the whole Ozempic situation. Some of this is also given what they called it. Okay, I'm getting something different. Some things it is that would have taken place over the past couple weeks with investigations and how something being investigated would relieve the burden. Here's the deal that comes into place with investigations. You gotta. This is why I'll be having problems with the chariot in reverse, right? And when I have a fast movement in the world that will be created and all this other stuff. Yeah, in short, in the investigative aspect, investigating one's mind. You're not the actual person, and you have to do a lot of correlation. That's that part. Some of the other portions of it will be about the two shots. It's giving the end of the craft where Nancy has to get a sedative, right? Um, because she was traumatized. You want to be a Nancy, or do you want to be the other chick, right? Or a Sarah? Do you want to be a Nancy, or do you want to be a Sarah, right? In that movie is what I'm talking about, right? But obviously, those two names mean a lot. Nancy in that film, she let the power that she had completely overtake her, right? While Sarah just embodied it and only utilized it when necessary. Nancy, she just was using it because she had been traumatized and felt like the world owed her something, right? So just being mindful of that. I'm thinking some of this has to do with the second movie, The Craft, where her daughter gets her powers and stuff, and she wasn't made aware of them until she was about to be fucking killed. My bad. Until she was about to be um red rum. All right, so we'll be clearing out this Wheel of Fortune in the upright in the moon, how the fortune will be hidden, and the season. That's one of the things that keeps coming up. It being the season of one fortune being in the upright. Within there being, for some, it's going to be about abuse. The things that we don't talk about during cuffing season. 55, 55, as I said, that people will cuff up with somebody and then they'll get abused. And a lot of people always put a whole lot into, oh, it's cuffing season. It's cuffing season. Duck season, wabbit season. No, it's cuffing season, right? But the abuse that comes into place with it. Some of the other portions of it is given is some spell work that would be done by some investigators or some policemen. Um, so I don't know what that's about in entirety. I know part of it is in regards to this is there being this investigation of one's fortune. So what they call it, forensic analyst and forensic accountability. That's what that's given. And the Queen of Swords reverse. Okay, so the negativity and one being indirect, how indirect one is in regards to this whole King of Wands, the inspiration. Some of this is gonna be about the shooters and what it is to be a shooter. It's giving Drake first person shooter that comes into place and what happens when a person loses that or someone gains it. It's also a part of that whole Assassin Creed. If you've ever played what they call it, Call of Duty, it's like when you, yeah, it's like that's what it's giving. And I'm thinking that, yeah, SWAT, yeah, because it's given like with the whole SWAT situation, and even in the film SWAT, ain't Jamie Foxx in it? Hmm. But it's given the whole paradigm of the ones and twos. Catching was, yeah, on your six. In that regard, it'll be about health and different impressions it is that would have been made about not only relationships. One, two, three, four, five. This is about recognition. A lot of this stuff that's gonna come into place during Virgo aspect, you're gonna have to use and tap into your Leo essence. Okay. Now the lovers, King of Cups, and Two of Wands. In short, the world that would have been the lovers world that would have been created as a doing of love. In short, this is how I'm showing you that this is how that person would have showed that they love somebody by abusing them and by not taking action. Oh, I'm showing you by not taking action. That's interesting. No, because in the abuse aspect that is given, something that was coming to me a whole lot. I understand why the police portion was coming up. Police policies and politics and in a political aspect, it's gonna be about the Eighth Amendment, y'all. If you look through my channel, you'll see where I put the different portions for the Eighth Amendment. I'm gonna look through it and see if I can repost it. But the situation that's coming into play, the first policemen were slave catchers. That's what that's about. The first policemen were slave catchers. All of those people at the foundation of policing and policy making it comes from a person being held captive. That's what goes on with that, and that's why in sovereignty and dealing in sovereignty and sovereign nations and sovereign states, you'll have different situations that'll go on. But one of the things in the policy aspect that this is really giving off, um, whether or not it's inside one's mind, if they can speak on different political aspects and avenues without the assistance of anyone else, because I don't see any five of pentacles or anything like that. But ultimately, what this is giving is understanding your boundaries, knowing what discipline is. Pisces essence is definitely going to make you pay attention to what it is that would or could be, quote unquote, constituted as hidden, right? Hidden doesn't mean bad. We just had Christmas, y'all. Literally. If you think of it like that, it'll be so much better for you. I'm so serious. Life gets so much better for you when you shift your paradigm, especially if you were like I was, right? I used to take in negativity and produce positively, right? And it took a lot for me to start taking in positivity, right, as well, and then producing positively. What used to happen is I would take in the negativity with no problem at all and produce positively, and that's just how I was charged, right? And I had to realize that that negativity was wearing down my body. That's that Virgo essence, right? It was wearing down my body too much. It's like, nah, I can't keep doing it like this. So I shifted, I want to say back in 2018, I started shifting from that negative intake to that positive intake. And I saw that with the positive portion, essentially, initially, I started questioning. It's like, are you being positive to me because you just being positive to me because you really like me, or is you being positive to me because you supposed to be positive to me, right? And then I had to realize I set that intention. So pay attention to the intentions that you're setting, right? With this discipline, armor, and boundaries, that's what that's going to be talking about, especially even in the thoughts, because you can't control what somebody else think about you, but you can control how you respond to the situation that you have in front of you. What they're thinking during it, that ain't your business. But what you're doing in that moment, and you know what your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing, as long as you're walking in your purpose, you shouldn't have any problems. It's that part. The other portion of it is that I'm definitely seeing in this whole spiritual contract, regular contract, whatever, what have you, is going to be about what happened, what really happened in 3D. Because this Eight of Swords, yeah, because it's by 8 by 8. The strategy that comes in the thought and mind of what it is that would have been planted, and seeing what was unseen 8 years ago. And what was unseen in June. And with spiritual connections. Now, whether that's you being spiritually connected to a person or the other person being spiritually connected to a person, and the controlling aspect that'll come into place with this, with Virgo especially. Virgos, you cannot control who is spiritually connected to someone. What you can control is your behavior. Pisces, you cannot control who is connected to someone. Okay? The wisdom that comes into place for your health is knowing who to connect to and who not to connect to. Knowing when to connect. And just because people are always around you doesn't mean that you have to connect to them all the time. Okay? All right. So I'm hoping that God helps you guys out just a little bit. I heard finishing thoughts. Yeah, to wrap up finishing thoughts, the main thing that I'm seeing is what is going to be happening, how one wouldn't have manifested trust. Paying attention, yeah, one wouldn't have manifested trust in regards to the being a high priestess. And sure, some high priestesses ain't supposed to trust you. High priestesses, I'm going to be honest with you. Heard you being in that position. When you in a position, in any position, it's not even. See, y'all like to focus on them titles and stuff, and I despise that. You know why? Because it invokes jealousy. It invokes jealousy. It invokes. It's supposed to what it's supposed to invoke, right? Is respect. But what it unintentionally invokes is a lot of jealousy and hatred and all this other shit, right? And if a person hates you, okay, they just hate you. So what? They not putting food in your stomach. They not putting clothes on your back. They not doing none of the shit it is that needs to be done. They hate you. They just hate you. I learned that a long time ago, baby. I also learned a long time ago with me though, right? When you are in certain positions spiritually, right? What you eat can make another person shit. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. But we not gonna go into that. That's a little bit. That's a little bit. That's somewhere else for y'all, right? Somewhere else for y'all. But yeah, in short, with whatever it is that would be thought about, it's stuck in. It's only in one's head. Yeah, it's given the whole. It's all in my head. I think about it over and over again. No, because when you're a high priestess, you're supposed to study everything in the occult, regardless of what the background is, Satanism and all that. How are you supposed to combat against it or heal a person if you don't know what it is that you're looking at? That's just like saying in regards to that, because I heard say what you have to. I love that voice. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Um, it's just like telling a doctor not to study the way medications are having an effect on their patients. It's the exact same fucking principle. It's the exact same thing as if you were to tell a chef not to see what arsenic poisoning would do. I'm not saying that the chef is supposed to go and put arsenic poisoning in the fucking food. No, they're supposed to know what that looks like. They're supposed to know what all these different things look like, for instance, in different cooking shows. Yeah, like in different cooking and stuff and different competitions. You supposed to know the difference between what arsenic poisoning looks like versus flour. Come on now, yeah. I'm gonna need y'all to get y'all shit together in that regard. Cause that's unnecessary. And I know part of it came from me sharing what it is I was learning and being happy that I'm learning new shit. That's why I learned to stop sharing all that stuff with people. I did and definitely learned to stop sharing it with the whole Virgo essence, because Virgo essence gonna take it and yeah, they automatically become combative. They have a lot in common with in the compatibility. Yeah, but as Cancer, who else? Scorpio, um, who else? Cancer, Scorpio, Virgo, um, and some Aquarius, low vibe Aquarius. All those lower vibrations. Anybody can fall into that paradigm, but definitely those four have a tendency to transmute and shift essences a whole lot, and they become overly compassionate to those who are, for lack of a better phrase, whooping their ass, primarily because they're already exhibiting their power. It's always stated, and a lot of people always mess up with this. It's the quiet ones you got to worry about. It be the quiet ones. It be the quiet ones. It be the quiet ones and the quote unquote shy ones. Okay. So I'm hoping it helps you guys out just a little bit, gave you a tad bit of an inclination as to a few different things it is that will be going on. If you like to schedule me for your own personal touch of clarity in your life, right? You can hit me up at lightwork@gmail.com. All right, all right. Cause see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work. I'm hoping everybody does okay and enjoy your new year. Happy New Year from Light Work Ain't Light Work. And that's why you can stay light while you work.